Good morning. Welcome to another What's Up Wednesday. Today I will be going over technical information. I have about 13 questions that you've all asked on technical stuff, so I will be going through that one question at a time. Thanks for coming and being with me today, and without further ado, we will get started. Well, here we go with question 1. I took off my glasses so you wouldn't have glare in them. Okay, and hopefully I can see my screen. Anyway, question number 1. What was the condition of Vinny when you got him? Vinny was a Craigslist find, and he was listed at $1,200 for a 1-ton van. And I went and took a look at him, and it was a mess. He had seats bolted to the floor because he was a Metro Valley transit van. So he'd been used in Phoenix, used as a wheelchair van. And there was seats, and there was lots of seat belts, and the guy that I bought it from was using the van to haul foam flotations for docks, for boat docks. I bought the van in Minnesota. It had, and still does, wheelchair locking devices on the floor, had the vinyl, the bus floor, the whole 9 yards. My original intent was to do a temporary build and then eventually tear out the floor that was there, put in new wood, and go from there. However, as most of you know, temporary becomes permanent. So I never did tear out the old floor. Some of it has been ruined because of rain, and Vinny does leak around the front windshield, so water drips down onto that flooring there. So I've left the vinyl, and for the main house I put plywood on top of it. I decided I didn't want to buy the van, so I went home. I'd left it there because it had bald tires. It just was really dirty. Green stuff on the roof. It was pretty bad shape. So I went home and was told, why don't you offer him less? So I did. Called him up, asked him if he would take considerably less, and he did. So I bought him. And next question is, did I insulate Vinny? Answer to that question is no. Vinny has what you call a double hull fiberglass roof, kind of like a boat does. The hull is about 4 inches thick. I would say it's about like so, about 4 inches, 4 inches thick. And in between there is fiberglass insulation. And the only way we found that out is when we cut the hole for the Fantastic fan. So there is a double hull on here, and I'm sure there's some roof supports. Because of it being a transit bus, there has to be some sort of supports in the roof for in case of a rollover. I don't know that for sure. That's a guess. Anyway, the walls on Vinny are 3 inches thick. So those are double walls. In between the double wall there's air. So insulation really is not a necessary thing. It's kind of like being in your car and has plenty of insulation in here. It would have been really difficult to insulate this van. It's very curved. It's not square at all. It's almost like a bubble. So insulation would have been really difficult. The next question is, any repairs since I've been driving Vinny? Well, before I even started driving him, I had a mechanic do a full checkout and found out that we had to replace motor mounts, ball joints, brakes, tires, things of that nature. So I decided which ones I needed to replace first and most important, and went ahead and did that. So I bought tires, bought a new bat, had some rubber seals put around the windows because a lot of them were leaking when I got Vinny. And then when I was sure that everything was okay, I hit the road. That year when I got out to Quartzsite, I had the ball joints replaced. Since then, I've had the fan clutch replaced, the water pump, the fuel pump. I've had new spark plugs and wires and did a whole tune-up. Oil change. Was going to replace the belt, but the belt's in good shape, so I didn't have to replace that. Just replace a few pulleys on the front. Did I say I replaced the motor mounts? Replaced the motor mounts. So pretty much gone through everything. And if you saw my video last year, I replaced the leaf springs in the back because they were pretty low, and I had an extra one added. And I want to have the springs up front looked at, but so far everything's running well. Next question. Do you anticipate the day for a Vinny 2? No, I really like this van. It's a very unusual van. There are very few of these on the road. I've only seen personally 4. And out of the 4, one of them is being used for a storage unit, which is sad because these are awesome vans. One was in South Dakota, and it has a split windshield, and it runs off propane, and it came from Phoenix. Another one was in Washington State with another split windshield. Both of those vans were white, and I think the second one runs off gasoline, and it is still being used to transport wheelchair accessible people. The final one I saw recently on the road coming from Parker, and it is painted exactly like Vinny. It is the same color scheme, the same van. So if you see a van out there that looks like Vinny, make sure it says powered by fairy dust on the nose, because if it doesn't, it's not Vinny. Okay, it's not my van. So make sure it says powered by fairy dust and has fairies on the front, on the nose. Vinny has fairies on the nose and both sides. And I will be putting my stickers on the side of it that says traveling with the Gramkracker, so you'll know that that's my van. Anyway, Vinny is a 1997 B3500 1-ton wide one. It's called a wide one because it is a foot wider than any other van on the road. Dodge built these in Canada, shipped them to Anaheim, California. Anaheim, California had a company called the Wide One back in the 80s and 90s, and they built these out for cities and ambulances and limousines. So they had limited use, and they were only out until the late 90s. This is a 97, like I said, 7.5 feet wide. Your standard motor home is a 6.5 foot chassis, and then it goes back and gets wider to the 7.5 box or 7 foot box. Some are 7, and they call those a wide body, and some are 7.5. The basic Class C's are 7.5. Vinny is 7.5 all the way back, from the nose back. The wheelbase on him in the front is 7 and 3 inches, and on the back is 7 inches. So his front tires are wider than the back tires. So it kind of drives like a Class A. If you look at a Class A, their tires are way out to the edge of the vehicle. Vinny's are too. So it basically drives like a Class A. It's very difficult to turn. Does not have a tight turning radius at all. So turning is difficult. You got to get used to how it does. It's 19 feet long and 6.5 foot for the height inside the van. It's pretty tall, as you can see way up there. It's pretty tall. Camera doesn't give you too much justice, but yeah, I'm sitting down and I can stand in here, and I don't even come close to the roof. All right, next, if there is a Vinny 2, would you move everything over, or would you start from scratch? I'd start from scratch. I have done renovation before, and renovation is no fun. I would rather build brand new. I might even do the same design, but it would be brand new. I don't have any design updates. Everything that I'm using in here is absolutely working perfectly well. I might do more finish work if I did another build, because like I said, this one was designed as a temporary build, but it became permanent. Okay, so how much do you rely on modern gadgets, GPS, weather apps, etc., and do you have a backup plan if those fail? I rely on apps and gadgets a lot. I rely on the GPS on my phone a lot. I do not have a regular GPS yet. I would like to get the RV GPS, which determines whether you can go under bridges and that sort of thing, because Vinny is 9 feet 1 inch height at the very height. You should always measure the height of your vehicle so you know where you're going and how you can get in. We can't go through some tunnels because we're too wide and we're too high. So GPS with that kind of information would be really handy. Right now I use the one on my phone, and I don't just accept where it sends me. I have to find where I'm going and then zoom out and look at the whole picture and see if there's a better way to go, and sometimes there is, and I'll make my own route. If I don't have that, I have maps. I always try to get a map when I go into a state. I have some gazetters or benchmark maps, but I don't use those often. I have the truck driver's atlas, which helps with different roads too, but I do have some paper maps. When my signal fails on my phone, I'm out of signal. That's just the way it is. What I do, if I know I'm going into an area could be sketchy with the signal, I will get out my maps, find my route, and I will take pictures of that and download that onto my phone so that I can actually access those pictures while I'm driving. That way, if I lose signal, then I can still get to where I need to get to. Usually, maps are run by GPS, which is not dependent on cell signals. That's usually, not always. So usually the GPS will stay going. And final question here is, can I use a CB radio for emergencies if the cell signal is out? That I don't know, and possibly you could. I don't know the range on a CB radio. I don't have one in here, and I've never really used one. I bought an extra phone that has a different cell service provider on it. This one I use is T-Mobile, and my second one is Verizon. It's just an inexpensive phone that I use so that I can have a phone call. Usually T-Mobile, when we get into remote spots, will not work at all, and Verizon, I can at least get a phone call. Got to have a phone call in case of emergencies. And I don't know, sometimes I don't have cell signal at all. When I was at the van build, I had neither phone was working, so that could be a problem. I have more technical questions. This is just part 1. I'm going to have to do a part 2 next week on the technical questions because I had quite a few of them. I really enjoy doing these, as I've told you before, and I'm going to ask you guys to subscribe. A lot of you are watching and not subscribing. I have over 50% of my viewers are not subscribed to my channel. Please subscribe. It helps me financially, and helps me stay going where I want to stay going. I don't want to succumb to some of the other programs out there like Patreon and that sort of thing. I'm not sure how that works, and I'm really not wanting to do that at this point in the video world. So please subscribe. That'll help me. Also, if you like my videos, give me a thumbs up. That helps put me into the algorithms, and people find me and they can see what I'm doing out here. I really appreciate that you do watch, even if you're not subscribed. Thank you for watching. Upcoming is my meetup, December 15th at Roadrunner BLM. Somebody asked me to put a GPS out there, so I will be trying to get a hold of that GPS and put that out in a video in the next week or so with more directions. I would appreciate it if y'all showed up, even if it's for 5 minutes. Anyway, this video is getting a little long, and I'm going to have to end it. And as always, follow your heart, embrace your dreams, and cherish your life, and get out there and do something fun today. Catch you later. Bye-bye.